better, but Usyk was better too. He's angry here, Anthony Joshua. Down.
Skills in boxing.
Yeah. Why?
Okay. You're not strong. How did you beat
I'm not
me?
sure his team understood it.
Let's do skill. Let's do the. I had character. Okay. Let's do determination.
Listen.
I just want to say.
Ajose was a lot better, but Usyk was better too. He's angry here, Anthony Joshua. Down.
Skills in boxing.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay.
You're not strong. How did you beat me?
I'm not sure his team understood it.
Let's do the skill. Let's do the. I had character. Let's do determination.
Listen.
Madness.
I just want to say.
True madness out here. Yo, what's good, family? It's your man, no YB. Back once again. No doubt about it. So we just saw there, your man's Anthony Jon Stewart bugging, tweaking all the way out. And I can't lie to you, man. I've done videos already. We've covered when AJ robbed his belts, Usyk's belts, and dashed them on the floor. We covered him storming out the ring, storming Norman straight out the ring. And the worst thing was about, well, not the worst thing, but that part in particular, something which I forgot to mention. My man Jon Stewart storms out the ring and then does a 180. It's like, pick your lane. If you want to be raging bad man, innit, you storm out and you storm out. You don't storm out and think, oh, you know what, actually, let me go back. And the worst thing is, again, you know when he came back, this is the part where he'd been back, if you get what I'm saying. At this point, when he's confronting Usyk and saying, oh man, you know, I had character, I had power, or whatever goofy thing he was saying, yeah? He'd already got back in the ring at that point. It's like, what was you doing? You're bugged out, left the ring, and then you must have at some level calmed down and come back and you're still bugging. Yeah? This guy, look at all this energy, look at the big breaths he's taking, look at that, all these big movements. Where was all that? More time. Where was these big movements in the ring when your man the YB had his big bucks on it? Where was it? Yeah? Giving it all this and giving it all that. Where was all these big power moves? Look at that. My man AJ about to wrestle about 6 downs. Yeah? My man Anthony Jon Stewart just about wrestling 6 big buff Bolibus security nicks. Look at this, look. Let's count how many nicks in the cut right now. Yeah, let's count how many. 1, 2, 3, about 10 man deep. Anthony Jon Stewart wrestling 10 big Bolibus nicks. Next thing we know, 20 minutes before that, he in the ring with some little dude called Usyk, and he didn't have no energy, did he? Let's be real now. Let's be real. That clip there, yeah? This clip here, all this barking off, all these big movements, big power moves, that was the most power AJ exerted in the whole night. Facts. Never once did you see AJ screw his face up and show that level of determination in the ring. But after the fight, all of a sudden he want to make big moves. All of a sudden he want to be aggressive. All of a sudden he fixing to pull up. Look at his behaviour here. Look at him pulling up, banging his chest. Oh man, I hate character. I'm sorry, yeah, but that's not something you say. Character isn't something. Listen, if you've got to talk about having character, you ain't got it. Do you understand? People who have character demonstrate it. If you've got to tell someone, it's a bit like if you've got a big dong, yeah? Most of the time, the cats with a big dong won't tell you they've got a big dong, yeah? Because they've got a big dong. What's all the little dons with this one here, yeah? If you've got a wiener, more time, it's the cats with the wiener who front up. Oh yeah, man, I got the 12-inch, yeah, I got the ruler in the pants, yeah? 100%, any cat who tells you he's got a ruler in his pants, he got a wiener, 100%, little weenie thing. Yeah, but so more time, it's always them sly cats who ain't say much. They got longer wonga, 100%. Yeah, I don't know what it is about the universe, but that's normally how things go. People who give it all that ain't really got it like that. I got character. Listen, if you had character, you'd have had the W. If you had character, we'd have seen it. Yeah, we'd have seen it, and that's what this whole thing was for me, in my opinion. I said before in the other video, I got the feeling AJ had a lot of criticism after all of his losses. People like myself have said, he never seems bothered. But he hasn't, let's be real now. After he lost to Ruiz, got his virginity popped, and he was hugging Ruiz and holding Ruiz's hand up. We was like, where are they doing that at? Yeah, that's what everyone said. And I get the feeling like this really is the last loss for AJ now. We know AJ can never go down as an all-time great now. That's gone. And he know that. So it's like he's trying to salvage some pride or trying to salvage some level of quality. Okay, my career, my legacy's done, but maybe I can, maybe people can give me that same credit they gave Wilder. Because, yeah, Wilder might not go down as an all-time great now, but he's ticked the box in terms of that. Being a warrior doesn't necessarily mean you're an all-time great, but Wilder has that, or has at least demonstrated on one occasion, he is a warrior. That's one time more than AJ has ever demonstrated. And rather than demonstrate all this kind of stuff in the ring about character, about this, about I wanted it, rather than do that in the ring, his plan clearly was, okay, if I lose, I'll just kick off after the fight. And Eddie Hearn was, the reason AJ's doing this is just because he's so passionate and just because he wanted it so bad. No. When someone wants it so bad, they don't wait till after the fight to kick off. Yeah? If you want it that bad, you demonstrate it in the ring. And if I'm wrong, AJ fans out there, I've heard a whole bunch of goobers. I think even Johnny Nelson. The first fight AJ wasn't great, but AJ can hang his hat high, hold his head high on this one. There's nothing to be ashamed about with that performance. I'm not gonna lie, it was shameful. It was shameful. I'm sorry, it was shameful. Yeah, bearing in mind, people like myself, at one point in time, have said things like, AJ can be the greatest of all time. I'm sorry, I repent. My hands in the air. My hands are in the air, but based on that, so that's why people, no one ever come at me, because I put myself out there and said, AJ can be the best of all time. Having said that, that's what I'm comparing things to. So don't tell me, why are you being too hard? No, the level is the greatest of all time. Yeah, on the basis of it being the greatest of all time, not even a sniffing, not even top 100. 100%. AJ wouldn't even make top 100 all time. Bottom line. Yeah, that's what he ain't gonna cut. That's a standard he ain't cutting. Not even top 100. He'd probably come in about number 670, I reckon. Yeah, if you were to line up all the fighters who have given something in the ring, AJ would be probably top 1,000 at best. He's never, I'm sorry, he's for the most part, not for the most part, categorically, he's never really put himself out there. Yeah, don't get me wrong, if you're old, and you're no good, and he can knock you out, AJ's basically, his whole career has been about exploiting his God-gifted athleticism. Outside of that, anything that required some mental fortitude, he ain't have it. I mean, look at the Ruiz rematch. Yeah, that was a time that required mental fortitude. I'm the big, buff, booty buster. Yeah? I'm going to come in here and bust this big, bubbly McDonald's double cheese Ruiz's, you know what I mean, cheeks for him. That was what you're supposed to be on. Instead, again, like I said to you, at the time I said, AJ needs to nip it in the bud. If he doesn't double down on it on himself, he's broken. I said that, no one listened. Why be this? Why be that? What did he do? He went in there and took some next strategy, run around the place. And really, if you actually look at things, it was a slippery slope, as I said it would be. I said, if you don't nip it in the bud, if you don't double down now and believe in yourself now, if you run away from your destiny, which is what he did, let's not forget people, his whole thing was built on being a crusher. He loses to Mr. Double Cheese Ruiz, and that whole legacy he'd built, throw out the window. Okay, I'm not going to do no more Bone Crusher. I'm going to become Twinkle Toes. Who does that? Who does that? Whatever we say about Mike Tyson, yeah, at least he was true to himself. At least he went out in his latter years. Mike would give you 2 rounds and then he'd roll over. But at least he was consistent, if you get what I'm saying. AJ, you don't know what you're going to get. 1 minute he want to be Bone Crusher. Next minute he want to be Twinkle Toes. That's not character. And that's the point I'm making. That ain't character. AJ vs Ruiz 2 is nothing to do with character. That's to do with being scary. That's to do with not believing in yourself. AJ didn't believe he could beat Double Cheese Ruiz at what he'd been doing for his whole career. has that character. Character is saying, my name's AJ. I'm 6'6". I'm built for this. Double Cheese Ruiz. There's no way I'm letting Mr. Double Cheese Ruiz take my legacy from me. In this game, I'm gonna rule as a big booty buster, or I'm gonna die on my back. Yeah? I ain't going out super sad. I'm not gonna dance around for Miss Double Cheese Ruiz because I'm scared of whatever. What did he do? He's scared. He tried, oh well, Double Cheese Ruiz is 400 pounds and he can't move his feet. So what I'll do is I'll twinkle toes around the place, put a jab in and run off. Who does that? The greats don't do that. They don't. Yeah? Lennox Lewis, he got chinned a few times. Did he come out and say, ooh, my ass is flapped, let me do some more twinkle toes and run away from the guards? No, he went in there vicious on this thing. This guy here, he playing at this. He ain't playing at it, but AJ's got through based on Raw. Anyone could do what AJ's done. Put me in AJ's body, I'd have got to where he was too. You can't. AJ's been on autopilot his whole career. He just turn up. Anything that required something over and above the bare bones minimum, that's what we saw at the weekend, people. The weekend required something above the bare bones average. That was an average performance. He didn't, and if I'm wrong, show me where. Show me in what round you saw AJ go over and above. Because you can't even count the 9th round, because to count the 9th round means he would have had to have done something after that. Do you understand? You can't say, oh well, YB, he did a shift on the 9th round. Well yeah, but the 9th round arguably caused him to lose the next 3 rounds. See, that don't count. You understand? So in what period did you see AJ put himself out there and do something that was actually over and above what anyone else could do? AJ went out there against a smaller man, and that's what makes this so frustrating. Look at the size difference. We've just seen Canelo, who by the way was the best thing since sliced bread in terms of pound for poundness. We've just seen him taken apart by a 5 to 7 pound weight difference. AJ had 20 pounds and about 5 inches in height, and he's got all the inner genetic material, i.e. fast twitch and whatever else. Every single box, every single attribute was maxed out compared to Usyk. That's another thing that makes it even worse. You had all the things going for you. Let's not forget, people, the first fight AJ was a 3-1, 4-1 favourite. That wasn't for nothing. Do you understand? So to go from 4-1 favourite to losing 7-8 rounds again, and not going over and above, not daring to be great. AJ refused to dare to be great. He didn't want it. He just didn't. After the fight, I mean, this passion you see here is the kind of ish you're supposed to see in the ring. I'm not saying AJ should be doing all these. Oh, I can't lie. I'd rather see it then. If AJ was supposed to be pissed off at any point, if AJ was supposed to be raring to get across the ring, it was supposed to be in the fight. In them last few rounds, or at any point during the fight. Why didn't we see this? Why didn't we see AJ getting up and use Usyk's grill? I was begging for it. We was begging. Put your chin down, put your elbows in, and just get in his grill and mosh away. Chisora, actually, I talked about this on Twitter the other day, or a few hours ago. Watch Chisora versus Pulev. Chisora, because the thing is, I've made excuses. Oh, but AJ was tired in the rematch, or AJ was tired at the weekend. Yeah, he was gassed, but guess what? Chisora fought Pulev, and Chisora's 40 years old and isn't really known to be a great trainer. Chisora, 40-year-old, doesn't train the most. He in there with Pulev. Yeah? Pulev's got the height advantage. Pulev's arguably got the skill advantage. 2-2, Chisora was in there, and he was gassed after about 3 rounds, but yet he was still banging away. Every time Pulev put it on him, Chisora literally hung on and was gassed for the last 8-9 rounds. And yet he hung on, and every time he was in trouble, he came firing back out of the blocks. Yeah? And that's Chisora, someone who didn't have the weight advantage, didn't have the power advantage, didn't have the youth and whatever else. AJ's younger than Usyk. Usyk's 35-year-old. And for someone who's got twinkle toes like Usyk has, that's hard at 35 to be running around the place. It's really hard. Especially carrying more weight, which isn't his natural weight. AJ was the natural heavyweight. He's used to that weight. AJ's fought an older man Everything was in his favour. And yet Chisora showed you the other weekend what it looks like when someone wants it. He wanted to. Chisora. You can see Chisora wanting to win. I can see Chisora completely gassed in the corner, yeah? Looking finished. Pulev puts a combination out and Chisora comes winging back. Did he land every time? No. Do you know what I mean? Was it pretty? No. He wanted it though. That there is that there's character. Yeah? That's character. Chisora showed us what character really is. Character ain't this. This is what you call fronting. This is what you call a clowning. Yeah? Jon Stewart is a big buff clown. Don't get me wrong, I lied to you. He wanted the buffest clowns I've ever seen. Damn. Yeah, where they making that at? Look at this big buff clown. Yeah? Kicking off. But it ain't have none of this kind of energy when it mattered. When your man the YB coin was on the line, he didn't really want it like that. Super submissive. From the jump. And yeah. Oh, but YB, he did better from the first. No word of a lie. It's still AJ fans telling me, oh, he only 32 years old. The fuck? YB, he improved from the first fight. You man are wild. These are marginal improvements. He went from, in my opinion, he went from a 2 out of 10 to a 3 or a 4. What are we doing here? And unfortunately, it was the wrong 3 and a 4. You never get there. Unfortunately, what's required of AJ is it's a switch. You can't go from. It's not a case of. It's not something you make increments for. You either want to win, you either got a burning desire to win, you're either refusing to lose, or you're not. You know what I mean? It's not one of them ones. You can't say, oh well, he half wanted to win, or you can't say, oh well, he was half refusing to lose. No, you either have it or you don't. You're either desperate or you're not. No desperation. Yeah, none. No desperation. And this, you can see AJ here shocked. He thought, again, he could just, and that's probably part of the reason AJ is the way he is. His whole career, yeah, he's turned up, and it's always been enough. Do you understand? I believe that's why he's so shocked here. Because for the first time, turning up wasn't enough. Yeah, he turned up against Ruiz in the rematch. What happened? He won handedly. This is the first time AJ's turned up, and it hasn't all fell into his lap. And rightfully so. I said before the fight, I hope AJ loses. If AJ doesn't take himself if AJ doesn't actually push himself, I hope he loses. He doesn't deserve to win in a fight where he just turned up. His whole career has been based on turning up and just relying on his AJ's career. His average has always been enough. He's never had to dig in real deep. Oh, but YB, he got off the mat against Klitschko. The greats got off the mat 24/7. It's really not a big thing. Yes, in this day and age, it seems to be a big thing, because fighters are scared to death of going to the mat. But back in the 80s and 90s, going to the mat was part and parcel of the fight game. What I saw AJ do against a 40-year-old Vlad is what really you're supposed to do. That, in my opinion, is all part and parcel of an average performance. What we've seen of AJ recently is below average. Yeah? I'd say the AJ vs Klitschko fight back in the 80s and 90s was a standard showing. And to be honest, even then, he had one good round in round 4 or 5, and then had to take 5 rounds off, and nearly got chinned in the 6th. You understand? So how great really is that? How much character do you really show? AJ, in that 6th and 7th round, he was a passenger. He was lucky to some extent. Vlad didn't put it on him. The same way, really, AJ was lucky to the weekend in the 10th, 11th and 12th. AJ didn't. Well, he lost the last 3 rounds. Arguably, that's what lost the fight. If AJ had won them last 3 rounds, which are the championship rounds after all, he'd have won the fight. AJ had great momentum in the 9th. The 10th could have been a battle of attrition. He could have come out and said, I'm doubling down on that. Let's not forget, I've seen Chisora do that. I've seen Chisora have a great round and double down on himself. That 11th and 12th, if AJ had dominated them, he'd have won the fight. He didn't want it. He just didn't. Go back and watch it. Go back and watch the 10th or the 11th and the 12th round. Those are, after all, the championship rounds. Those are the ones, innit? Everyone knows that about the game. Those are the ones, if you're anyone who means anything, if this fight means anything to you, those will be the rounds where you show up. The last ones. For your legacy, for your history. This is it. Did you see that? In fact, AJ was a victim for the last 2 rounds. I was watching it and he was clinging on for dear life. Just clinging on. There was nothing proactive about it. It was no, okay, I'd rather go out flat on my back tonight. I'm going to win or I'm going to go spark out. Wilder style. None of that. And then all of a sudden, the bell goes and my man magically, and that's why I'm not going to talk about, oh well, AJ was gassed, because if he was that gassed, I've seen cats on oxygen after a fight. He ain't need no oxygen. In fact, he gassing, he woofing. All of a sudden he explosive, pulling 6 man with him. Thought you was tired. Thought you had no gas left. You seem to have a whole bunch of gas now. You seem to be proper animated now. Whole bunch to say. All these big deep breaths you're making. All these big movements you're making. Bouncing all over the ring.
He's angry here. Anthony Joshua. Down.
Skills in boxing.
Why?
You're not strong. How did you beat
I'm not
me?
sure his team understood it.
Because of skill. Let's do this. I had character. Let's do determination.
I had character and determination. No, you didn't. That's what I can't lie to you. You didn't have that. You didn't. If anyone had it, it was Usyk. Usyk was the one fighting all the odds here. He just was. I'm not a massive Usyk fan, but he was the one fighting all the odds. He was older, he was smaller, he was shorter. Yeah, he was the one up against it. His training may have been impacted by the circumstances. He was the one really, and you know what I mean? He was the one who looked in the most trouble in the 9th round. He was the one who came back in the 10th and bopped you in the mouth. And really, that was the end of the fight. In that 10th round, you blew your load in the 9th, and then he bopped you in the 10th, and you realised, oh, he's not just going to jump on the floor. And that's what I was saying when I told you, man. AJ's great if his opponents jump on the floor. For example, Pulev. AJ moshed Pulev, and Pulev was a sitting duck for the next 7 rounds. Do you understand? Which is what I've been telling you. AJ's great. If he can win easy, he win. If he can win, just turning up and going through the motions, he'll win. The minute though someone fights back, Ruiz, Usyk, he lose. That's it. That's it. And even Vlad is a good example of that, because guess what? AJ moshed Vlad in the 5th. Vlad put 1 good round in, and that was it, wasn't it? Vlad didn't double down on it himself. Vlad's another one. Vlad really is another good example of that. Vlad's that kind of guy, like AJ. If he can turn up and beat you with a standard showing, that would be great. People were saying that Vlad's fight against AJ was his best fight ever. That just goes to show, you know what I mean? These athlete guys like Vlad, like AJ, their character, they rely solely on having genetic advantages. They go in there against small people and whatever else, less gifted people naturally, and they win. That's their shtick. Their shtick isn't between the barnet. Yeah? And that's why it's a big shock, because really AJ has been gifted everything he's had. If AJ didn't have these, put it this way, if AJ was 6 foot, yeah, he wouldn't have won no fights. I'll tell you that for free. If AJ was 6 foot, he wouldn't have won no fights. Can you imagine AJ at 6 foot having to rush forward with Vlad jabbing him in the mouth? Come on. Let's be real now. Can you imagine AJ rushing forward with Vlad at 6'5", jabbing his barnet off and digging right hands to him? I don't think so. Yeah, you understand? Not in a month of Sanders. AJ's whole career, he's had the height, he's sat back, big powerful dude, sticking his jab out. You know what I mean? It's all fell into his lap. And the minute it didn't all fall into his lap, the minute people didn't just roll over and jump on the floor, he lose. I mean, and to be quite frank, I'm glad the universe worked that way. I'm glad it's not a given that big naturally gifted dudes just catch W's because they're big and naturally gifted. This shows you that attributes are less than half of the winning formula. IQ and ultimately heart rank above attributes, because if the fight was about attributes, he'd have won every time. Usyk showed more heart, Usyk showed clearly more IQ, and Usyk won, and I salute that.